The Oilers punched their ticket to the Stanley Cup final with a Game 6 win against the Dallas Stars as they'll take on the Florida Panthers. Hey everyone, welcome into Off the Post. Rob Wong joined alongside by Toronto Sun Sports columnist Steve Simmons, Canucks reporter for the Vancouver Sun and the Province Patrick Johnston, and Post Media hockey columnist Bruce Garriock. And guys, after 6 weeks of playoff action, the Stanley Cup final has been set. Unfortunately, we have to wait almost another week for game number 1, but in the meantime, we will start our Cup final preview by looking at how the Oilers and Panthers match up against each other. And we'll begin on the Oilers side of things. Steve, when you look at Chris Knobloch's squad, where do you think they have the advantage over the Panthers?
Well, you start with the power play, obviously. This has become an all-world power play, one of the greatest power plays, if not the greatest power play we've ever seen. You've got McDavid and Draisaitl down low. You've got Evan Bouchard at the point. You've got Zach Hyman banging around at the net. You know, there's a lot of elements to that power play that are extremely difficult to defend. And guess what? Florida Panthers love to play roughhouse hockey. So they are the most penalized team in the NHL. So you got the most penalized team in the NHL going against the best power play in the NHL. The only advantage, the only real strong advantage other than top end great offensive players the Oilers have is the power play. And that is what might wound up winning them this series, because I don't know if you can stop it.
When I look at the Oilers right now and the way that they disposed of the Dallas Stars, who I thought, coming into the playoffs were certainly a favorite to win the Stanley Cup, and just the way that, look, I know they only had 10 shots in the final game against the Stars, Patrick, but I thought for a lot of that series the Oilers were dominant, especially offensively. I feel like they've got a number of tricks up their sleeve offensively. They've got 4 lines of work, and as Steve said and so rightly pointed out, the fact that the Panthers are the most penalized team in the league does not bode well for them going into this final.
The thing that sticks out to me, and we've all talked about the offense, but having seen it obviously up close against the Canucks and now up close again against the Stars, it's the Oilers' penalty kill. That's the quiet secret to this whole story, is that obviously the Oilers have been able to score. And that is what's going to carry them most away. But the way they've been able to snuff out other teams' opportunities defensively, especially with the question marks in goal, I think is the sort of secondary underrated story that gives the Oilers a great amount of hope going up against the Panthers.
I go back to Daryl Sutter playoff time, and he told me this many years ago. Power play will not win you series, but penalty killing will lose you series. And you talk the Florida power play is nothing really that you get very excited about. But the matchup that really interests me is the best offensive center in hockey in Connor McDavid at playoff time, and the best defensive center in hockey, and maybe the most complete center in hockey in Sasha Barkov. And here they're gonna be going head to head in Florida, and so this is going to be best on best from different perspectives, and I think it makes for a really interesting final.
So, Bruce, when you look at this Panthers team, they have the experience of being here for the second straight year. And as Steve mentioned as well, they have one of, if not the top defensive centerman in the game in Sasha Barkov. Where do you think they also have the advantage on the Oilers that maybe Edmonton does not?
Well, I think it's goaltending. And, Sergei Bobrovsky seems to be playing some of the best hockey he has in 5 or 6 years. And, they've gotten... They've gotten back to the final, and they've got an opportunity to I don't want to say make up for what happened last year, because that's not the case. I mean, they got to the final, and somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. But I just think that Bobrovsky has been fantastic. I know everybody is apologizing to Stuart Skinner in Edmonton this morning, but I still think that Skinner still has a lot to do on his resume.
Well, you look, sorry to interrupt, but you look at who Edmonton is beaten right now. They beat Cam Talbot in round 1. They beat a third-string goalie in round 2. And now they beat Ottinger, as a pretty good goalie, but he wasn't fantastic in the series. He was okay, but he wasn't fantastic. And now they're playing, the best playoff goalie of the last 2 years. And as we saw with Shesterkin, how hard it is to score when you're not playing well. the Rangers didn't play all that well against Florida, but they were in every game because their goalie was that good. If that can happen against Edmonton, it gets interesting because, this is a team you don't like to play against. So this is the best forechecking team in hockey. This is a team that, throw out your analytics and your zone times and your zone entries. They dump the puck in, they put it in deep, and they punish the crap out of you. That's the way. That's Florida Panthers hockey. You're going to get hit by Sam Bennett. You're going to get hit by virtually every Tkachuk. Everybody on that team comes right at you. So the Edmonton Oilers aren't used to that. Although Vancouver played a little bit that way, but this is going to be a test for a team because they always say styles make fights. Boy, you couldn't have more different styles than you're getting from the two teams in the series.
I am a numbers guy, but I'll keep it simple here. Of the teams remaining in the playoffs, these two teams, of the 4 teams that were remaining in the playoffs, this Florida Panthers squad gets the most shots on goal. And it's exactly what Steve's talking about. It's that forecheck, that ability to turn the puck over and keep possession, and they make it happen. And Stuart Skinner, in the end, is facing an offense that will get the puck on net more than any other team that he's faced so far these playoffs. That is Florida's huge advantage in this, is their ability to get in on the puck, to keep control of the puck, and get really effective shots off and really test the goalie. So yeah, they've got that battle in net more than anything will be the Panthers' story one way or another.
And they'll be in Skinner's face, unlike Dallas was.
Yeah.
They will be hitting him. They'll be in the crease. They'll be doing all of these things. They'll get to that point where, he's not going to be very happy about how close they are. And he doesn't like traffic around sides of the net. Well, get ready for it because it's coming, buddy.
Well, and the guy we only mentioned is Matthew Tkachuk. I mean, this to me is a guy who plays from the tips at all times. And if anybody is going to get under the skin of the Edmonton Oilers, it's going to be Matthew Tkachuk, and he rides that line so well. Having watched him and brother Brady here for the last 4 or 5 years, that's going to be the guy who could be the difference maker for the Panthers.
Yeah, and one other guy who just seems built for playoff hockey, Sam Bennett. Man, how would you like to play against Sam Bennett? Because you're going to get pounded, and he's going to hit you, and he's going to hurt you, and he's going to do something dirty to you, and that's what he does, and he's been a hugely impactful player for that team. He was in last year's playoffs. He's even more so in this year's playoffs.
Yeah, a couple of guys with some history in the Battle of Alberta, so should be interesting to watch that matchup there. All right, time to get your predictions, guys. We'll start with you, Patrick. Will a Canadian team hoist Lord Stanley's Cup for the first time since 1993, or will the Cup be heading back to the Sunshine State?
I think I'm going to go with cynicism ruling the day, although I think this is going to be a great series. I'm going to Florida in 7 games.
I am unsure of all of this. Especially because the contrast with the teams.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the story instead of the logic. And Connor McDavid is the best player in the world. And we saw what he did in the game when they knocked out Dallas. He scored, a Connor McDavid goal that no one else could have scored. And he made another Connor McDavid play to set up the other goal that no one else could have done. And I just think somehow in all of this, he's going to find a way. And, it's like Superman's got the cape on now. And yeah, this is a great Florida Panthers team, but I'm going to go with the Oilers.
And you know what? I'm going to go with the Oilers as well. And number one, because I'd like to see the Cup come back to Canada for the first time since 1993. And having covered the Senators in 2007 when they went to the Stanley Cup final and kind of went down in 5 games. One thing I don't mind here is that basically, look, I know the Stanley Cup final is not going to start till Saturday, but one thing, guys, Ottawa had a 10-day break and the Anaheim basically had 2 or 3 days. This time, both teams are coming in with the same break. Nobody has any kind of advantage. But I just think that like Steve said, I think the best player in the world is going to be the difference in this series. And and he's got a good supporting cast behind him to make that happen.
The one X factor in all this is, I think, obviously McDavid is the star, but it's the depth of the Panthers and the way their depth players have been able. We talked about Sam Bennett, Evan Rodriguez. You look at, say, Oliver Ekman-Larsson on defense, the way they've been able to create sort of the second layer of offensive control, doing all the things that we've already mentioned, I think to me is just what's going to make Florida so tough, and why in the end I think they will prevail.
And then one thing I would say, though, too, is, the Dallas Stars, Steve, they play hard, heavy hockey, I think, to they play that Western Conference style. So it's not like with Florida playing hard, heavy style that Edmonton's going to see something they did.
There's a difference between hard, heavy, and mean.
Yeah.
And
fair.
I think the Florida Panthers play mean hockey.
Yeah.
And that's one of the, and that starts with Tkachuk, but it comes through Bennett, and you go to the fourth line with even guys like Lomberg, whether he's dressing or not, they have a lot of guys that come at you, and they have a lot of depth, as Patrick points out. They're the players that you don't know on that roster. And I happen to see a lot of them this winter.
Yeah.
The players you don't know on the roster are a lot better than you think they are, and their middle of the road, players are very, very good. And so I think they have more depth up front than the Oilers. They have more depth. Their six-man defense, I think, is better than the Oilers' six-man defense. Their goaltending is better. And all that said, I'm going with Connor.
Well, as you guys said, it should be a heck of a series. It all gets started on Saturday. Who do you think will win it? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Steve Simmons, Patrick Johnston, and Bruce Garriock, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.